and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our Magic Iris Sunflower add-on. Sunflowers are my favorite flower, so this is my absolute favorite. What's great about this die is it works amazingly with the Magic Iris, and we'll show you that in the video today, but it also works really great on its own, and we'll show you that too. So let's go ahead and check it out. So this die cuts a beautiful sunflower, but the inside of it also cuts a stitched circle. So we're going to die cut again from some brown cardstock, and that's going to give us the inside of our sunflower. Now there's a bunch of different ways to use this inside. Of course, you could leave it plain, just like this. Or you can use that detail piece that's right there. And what you can do is take that die, line it up in the center of the circle, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, run it through the die cut machine, and now you have this beautiful sunflower detail in the center of the flower. Another thing you can do is use this really cute included smiley face. And there's two ways to use the smiley face. One, you can just use the inside pieces it cuts, so the little eyes and then the mouth, which is super, super cute. And you can also, of course, add those little rosy cheeks. And then the other way to use it is that you can die cut that smile from the center. So we're going to hold that in place. We'll run it through the die cut machine. And then now you'll see we have this little smile. And then I like to just put another black circle right behind it. And that's going to give you your cute little smiley face. And inside of the sunflower, I mean, that just makes my day. It is so cute. And then here is a look at what the detail piece on the inside of the sunflower looks like. Now we're going to take a look at what the sunflower looks like with the Magic Iris. So here we have an already formed Magic Iris, and we will be molding a Magic Iris a little bit later in the video. But you can see that you just layer that sunflower right over top, and then you can open up the inside and have a message or a smiley face, and you'll see that the center of the flower actually fits exactly in the center of the Magic Iris. So they are perfectly coordinated to work with each other. So now let's go ahead and create a Magic Iris. So we're going to be starting off with the Magic Iris add-on. This is the original add-on piece, and this gives you a nice panel that we're going to be able to decorate with the sunflower. So we're going to die cut that from some white cardstock, and then we're going to be doing some stenciling with a cloudy stencil, which is one of my favorite stencils. So there's that awesome cloudy stencil, and it has 4 different designs of clouds on each of the sides, so you can kind of keep mixing and matching. So we're going to start with some merman ink, which is my personal favorite for doing these clouds because it's just such a bright and happy color. And we're going to start on the stencil and then work our way on with a nice light hand, leaving it kind of white towards the top. And that's what's going to give us our cool cloudy feel. Now we can pick up that stencil and you'll see that awesome cloud there, and we're going to repeat the same thing, working our way down this piece, but changing the different sides so that there's different styles of clouds. So you'll see we'll kind of lift it up and take a look, see what looks nice, and then keep moving down and just stenciling over this whole Magic Iris add-on. Now here's that same Magic Iris add-on piece, and we're going to die cut some cilantro cardstock, and then we're going to use this to die cut some grass. That way all of the stitching and everything lines up and looks really nice together. So there is the grassy border die, and we're going to line that up around the bottom there of the Magic Iris add-on, and then we can run that through the die cut machine. And then this is going to be the grass for the bottom of our scene. Now we're going to add some Lucky Clover distressing to this. Megan from our design team always does this, and it just makes grass look magical. So just a little bit of that Lucky Clover ink right on the top of that cilantro cardstock, and it just brings the whole thing to life. Now it's time to work on the sunflower, and we are going to die cut this from some sticky note cardstock, and then we're going to be doing some inking with sunflower ink. So we're going to have our little beautiful sunflower there, and then we're just going to take a blender brush and pick up some of that ink. And what I like to do is start in the center of the sunflower and then move my way onto the sunflower. And you can do this nice and quick and easy, but it just adds this beautiful inked detail to the flower, and the stitching kind of pops, and it just looks so, so pretty. And right now we are recreating a card by Mindy, so thank you so much, Mindy, for this gorgeous design. Now, to fill in the background of our scene, we're going to take out the picket fence die. And the picket fence die has the picket fence, and it also has this little detail that's meant to go along the picket fence, but we're actually going to be using that as a stem. To cut a stem, you could also just trim a piece of cardstock down in your paper trimmer, just a little 1/4-inch piece, and that would make a perfect stem. But we might as well use that picket fence die piece since I happen to have it out. So now we're going to start to layer these pieces. We're going to add the picket fence to our beautiful cloudy ink sky, and then we can just trim off any of that excess. Now we can layer on that grassy piece that we inked earlier, and because we die cut it with that same Magic Iris add-on as we did for the cloudy sky, all of that stitching line is going to line up and look really, really pretty. Now we're going to add the sunflower. Just add some tape runner to the back and line it right up with the opening of that magic iris piece. And then here is that little stem piece. Once again, using that die from the picket fence, but you could also leave out the picket fence and just trim a little stem just with your paper trimmer. And you can see just how cute that's looking. Now we're going to have a two-step sentiment for this card. And first up, we're going to be stamping a sentiment from Scripty Autumn Sentiments, and that's the word grateful. And we're going to stamp that out in some dough ink, which is a nice brown to go along with our sunflower. And this has a coordinating die, so we're going to die cut that and we have this beautiful detailed word. And then we can add some adhesive to the back of that, and we're going to layer that at the top of the sky. And now that we have this piece all decorated, we're going to start to work on the magic iris mechanism. And the magic iris has this ring circle piece, and we're going to be die cutting that from some ground coffee cardstock. And then this is the piece I like to call the flux capacitor piece. We're going to line that up in the center of the magic iris ring there. We're going to run that through the die cut machine, and that's going to give us those 3 holes. Then we're going to die cut that ring 2 more times. So we're going to have 2 plain ones and 1 with that hole detail added in. Then this is our piece we like to call the sausages because it kind of looks like a sausage, and we're going to die cut 3 of those. And then we're going to take those and we're going to add them right into that slot that the die created for us. And you'll see how it's going to kind of line up with the edge of the ring. And we're going to do that with all 3. So you're going to add it into the slot, and the inside curve of the sausage piece is going to line up with the inside curve of that ring. And we'll do that with the 3rd one. And you'll see how they're all starting to line up. And if you've never made a magic iris before, make sure to check out the Intro to Magic Iris video to see a nice slow version of this. We'll link it in the description below. Next up, we're going to use mini glue dots. These are the 3/8 inch size, and we're going to add a mini glue dot to each of the X's there that the die created for us. It's kind of like an X marks the spot, so we'll add a glue dot on the top of each of those. Then we'll make sure that the edges of the sausage pieces are lined up with the edges of the inner part of the ring. We're going to hold those in place, and then we're going to take one of the plain rings and just put that right on top, securing it onto those 3 glue dots. Once that's secured in place, we can flip the ring over, and you'll see that that flux capacitor radioactive looking piece that we die cut the ring with earlier, it gives you these little stitched rectangle details on the interior part of that ring. And that's going to give you a guide as to where we're going to put these 3 stabilizers. So we're going to take our tape runner and we're going to add a strip of tape from that little stitched rectangle detail to the outside edge of the ring, and then we can add these stabilizers on there. And the stabilizers have a curved edge that's going to line up with the interior curve of that ring. And so we'll add all 3 on. Now that we have all of those on there, we're going to flip the whole thing over, and we're going to take one of those stabilizers and we're going to point it down towards our body. And then here's the tab piece. We're going to add some adhesive about halfway down the tab, and then we're going to add that tab to the right of that stabilizer, lining up the curve of the tab with the interior curve of the ring. And that's right to the right of that piece, creating almost like a little tiny V in between the 2 pieces. Then we're going to take that second plain ring and we're just going to lay that on top. No adhesive or anything, just lay it on top loose. And then we're going to add some adhesive to those 3 stabilizers. Once we have adhesive on each of those stabilizers, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be wrapping them around and attaching them to that ring. And as we do that, we're going to make sure to not make it too snug because you want to make sure that that ring can still move so that our mechanism works. So it's almost like a little light hug. And you'll notice that as they wrap around, they won't reach all the way to that inside edge. And that's how you want it to look. You don't want them to reach right to the edge. And when we do that, you'll see that we have a functioning magic iris now. Now the inside of that ring creates a stitch circle that fits perfectly on the inside, and we're going to be using that later to put our message on. But for right now, we're going to use this cute little arrow piece that's included in the Magic Iris add-on. We die cut that from some sparkle cardstock. We're going to add some adhesive to that and then just add it right onto the tab. Then what we can do is take our scissors and just trim off any of the excess of the white, and we're going to have a tab that has the arrow that tells the recipient what to do, and it's the perfect shape for that Magic Iris add-on we added the clouds to earlier. What we're going to do is we're going to add some adhesive there to the top of the ring so that we can attach it to that panel that we decorated earlier. So the adhesive is just going to go along the ring, just like that, and then we can line it right up. And so we'll line up the edge of that tab with the edge of our rectangle, and that's going to put the Magic Iris mechanism in perfect placement. Then next, we're going to take this whole thing and we're going to flip it over and we're going to add some foam squares in the upper and bottom corners. So just in the corners. And that's going to give us a nice balanced height compared to the mechanism that we added on the bottom and help us adhere this whole thing onto our card. Then also for this card, we're going to be layering two pieces of cardstock. So we're going to have a piece of white layered onto a sunflower. And the sunflower is a standard size card at 5.5 by 4.25. And this one here gives it a nice little thin border all of the way around. And then we can layer our magic iris mechanism piece right on top of that. And I love the little white border that it gives with the sunflower cardstock in the background that goes along with the beautiful sunflower we have die cut on the front. And our magic iris is working, which is awesome. And now we have to put our message inside. So once again, we're using that interior stitched circle from the magic iris. It's going to fit perfectly in there. You can also use the interior of the sunflower too. They're all the same exact circle size. And we have these really great magic messages stamp sets. And we have holiday versions and all different ones. But this is the original one. And it has this great sentiment that says, "I'm lucky to have a friend like you," which I thought went really, really nicely with the sunflower. So we're going to prep it with an anti-static powder tool, stamp in a clear embossing ink, and then we're going to sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder. We can tap that off and then heat it up with the heat tool, and we'll have a nice bright white shiny sentiment that's going to be on the inside of our sunflower. And to add this on to the card, all we need to do is open up the magic iris mechanism. We're going to add some tape runner on the back of the circle and then add that on. And so you could put lots of different sentiments on this. You could have the smiley face on this, which would be really cute too. So there's a lot of different ways to use the same exact card design for different occasions, birthday, thank you, all sorts of things. And there you can see the beautiful message that's going to be on the inside of the sunflower, and I just love it. One of the fun little details that Mindy added was using a white gel pen to add some cute little dots there to the sunflower, and I think that just makes it really, really special. The last step is to take a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25, and we're going to layer this whole thing on top. And then this card is all done. It's so cute and sweet, and I just love that it looks so adorable like this. But then you get that amazing surprise of the beautiful sentiment open on the inside when you do the magic iris. Look how sweet that is. Oh, I just love it, and I think this would just make someone's day. Now that we've made a magic iris card with this sunflower set, we're going to use the sunflower on its own. So I'm going to be die cutting 3 different sunflowers out of some sticky note cardstock, and we're going to add some inking to this. And we're going to be using some Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink. And just like we did on the other sunflower, we're going to start from the inside of the sunflower and go out. And there's just something about that that makes it just look so, so pretty. And I just love this. And today we were inspired by Callie to make a card. I made some variations on the card, so it's going to be really fun to see her card at the end of the video because she added a barrel of apples too, and it is so cute. So there you can see those beautiful dynamic sunflowers, and now we're going to die cut the sunflower again out of some chocolate bar cardstock to be the interior of the sunflower. And on one of these, I'm going to die cut that smiley face because I just love that smiley face. So we're going to die cut that, run it through the die cut machine there. You can see we got a beautiful little smiley face there. And once again, from that smiley face, you also get the little eyes and the mouth, so you could add those on by themselves like that, or you can die cut it from it. It's both just 2 different looks. Here I had some scrap black cardstock, so I'm just going to take my scissors and just trim a little rectangle piece. It can be messy because no one's ever going to see the back of this. I'll add some tape runner on there and add that to the back, and that's going to add some nice detail to the little eyes and mouth. And now you'll see how adorable that sunflower is looking. For the other sunflowers, we're going to die cut that cool detailed piece. So one's going to have a smiley and the other 2 are going to have that sunflower detail. And so there you can see how pretty that is, and we die cut 2 of those. Now, I wasn't sure about the exact layout of my card, and I wanted to hold these centers in place. So what I'm going to do is actually just flip the sunflower and the center over, and I'm just going to use some washi tape to hold it in place so that I can move my sunflowers around on my card. And I'm going to be doing this on all of them, and it's a nice way to hold these centers in place, either on the magic iris sunflower or honestly on other flower dies where the center comes out, right? It's just going to hold it in place. You can kind of play around with what your card's going to look like. So for this card, I wanted to bring in some stems and leaves. So we're going to take out the stitched flower frame dies, and we're going to use the stems and leaves from that. And you can kind of look through your stash and find some leaves. You can also cut stems just from trimming down a 1/4-inch piece of cardstock, which looks really great too. So there's lots of fun ways to add extra things to these sunflowers, although they're really cute on their own too. Now we're going to do our same magic technique with Lucky Clover Distress ink on our Cilantro cardstock, and you'll see that it just makes it look so pretty. It just looks so fallish and it just brings it to life. Then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the brand new Build-A-Barrel apple dies, but we're just going to use the barrel and not the apples, which is kind of a fun way to pot the sunflowers, right? So we're going to die cut the barrel and then also the barrel detail, and that's out of paper bag and chocolate bar cardstock. I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of the detail piece and then layer that on top of the barrel. And we're going to die cut 3 of these barrels since we have 3 sunflowers. Now that we have most of our die cutting done, we're going to start working on the background for this card. And we're going to be using some nitpicky winter paper. And yes, it's winter paper, but it looks super, super cute for a lot of year-round things. And I think this is such a fun, cozy sky background for these fall sunflowers. So we're going to die cut this with the largest slimline die. And that's going to give us a 3.5 by 8.5 card. And it's going to go really nicely with these tall sunflowers, right? I think it just looks great together. And now we're going to start working on the layout of this. And this is where I wasn't sure exactly where these sunflowers were going to go, how the barrels were going to work, wasn't totally sure. So I'm just laying these out on the card, kind of seeing how it's going to look. And what we're going to start doing is we're going to start trimming these sunflowers down. And by trimming the sunflowers down and just seeing part of the sunflowers, it makes it feel like this field of sunflowers could kind of keep going on and on forever. So you'll see that layout's looking pretty cute. Now we're going to take that paper trimmer out and you'll see we're going to trim down these sunflowers. Now what we could have done is gotten pretty clever and used one half of the sunflower on one side and one half on the other. But I had actually put a big smudge on the other half, so I wasn't able to use it. So I had to trim down the other sunflower I had. But if you want to make a design like this, you can trim down your sunflower in 1/3 and 2/3 and use one on one side and one on the other. Now for my smiley face one, I went ahead and just trimmed off a little bit of the edge. Once again, so it just kind of feels like it's coming off the edge some. There's something really cool, and I really love that in Callie's design, how she did that, and I wanted to try it too. Now for the sunflowers that are really going off the edge there, the ones with the sunflower detail, those are going to be in the background. So we're adding those on with some tape runner, and we're going to add their stems and barrels on with tape runner too. And so we'll add the barrel on the right, and then I'm going to add the one on the left, which you're really only going to see a little bit of that stem and that barrel. And then once both of those are on there, we can trim off the edge. And this is where the magic kind of happens to me. As we trim off the edge and we look at the front of the card, it really feels like this scene just goes on and on and on. And you can see just how cute that's looking already. Now, for the flower that's in the foreground, our smiley face sunflower, we're going to add a bunch of foam squares so that it has a nice pop and gives it just a cool dimension. And so I put the sunflower smiley face there kind of to see where it needed to go because my stem is only so long. I'm deciding where the barrel is going to look nice. I'll put the barrel in place and then we can lay the sunflower down. And so there we'll put the sunflower right on the edge there of the card. Once again, it's got that trimmed off edge, which makes it feel like the whole scene's just going to keep going and going. The next step is to add some leaves. So we're going to add those on with some foam squares to go along with our popped up flower. And then for the flowers that are in the background, we're going to add those on with tape runner. And once again, we're going to have one of the leaves going off of the edge. We can trim that off with our scissors, and that's going to give it, once again, that just cool background that I just loved from Callie's card. For the ground, I'm going to take out some Gold Rush cardstock, and I love this cardstock because it has that beautiful sparkle to it. And I'm going to die cut this with a simple stitched hillside border, and it's a piece that's bigger than my card because I wasn't really exactly sure how tall I wanted this ground to be. So I've die cut the hill first, and I'm going to put the hill where it looks nice, and then we can take that same slimline die that we die cut that knit paper with, and we're just going to line that right up, and that's going to put that die in perfect placement without having to kind of eyeball or guess. Then we can hold that in place with some tape. We'll run it through the die cut machine, and now we're going to have this great little ground. So we're going to add some foam squares to the back of that and layer that onto the card. Now the top of the card was feeling a little bit plain, so I decided to bring in some clouds, and these are an oldie but a goodie from our Spring Showers dies, and I just love that they're clouds with some stitched detail, which is really going to go along with all the stitching that we have on this card, on the barrels, and on the sunflowers. So I die cut the 3 different sizes of clouds, and we're going to add those in the background with some tape runner. I ended up using the largest and medium size and not needing to use the smallest one, but we're going to add those on there, and once again, as we've been doing the whole card, we're going to trim off the excess on the sides. Then the last thing this card needs is a sentiment. And there is a great sentiment in the brand new giant thank you messages. And it says, thanks a bunch, which I think looks really, really cute with a bunch of flowers, right? It's so sweet. So I'm going to stamp that out in some crunchy leaf ink, which is a brown ink that is alcohol marker friendly. So just like our jet black ink, we also have it in crunchy leaf, which is a brown. We also have a gray as well. And I'm stamping in that so that I can do some Copic coloring. And here I have Y38, Y35, and Y32, and those are my favorite sunflower markers. And so I'm going to use those markers to color in these letters in this beautiful gradient to go along with the gradient that we inked on the sunflowers. And I think that's just looking so pretty. And I just love yellow and brown together for fall. I think they're so beautiful. Next up, I'm going to take a sentiment banner die and line that up with the sentiment. We're going to hold that in place with some low tack tape and run it through the die cut machine. And now we're going to have this great sentiment for the card. And I like that it's kind of hanging off the edges a little bit. I think that looks really, really cute and just kind of fun. So we'll add some tape runner to that, and then we're going to layer that into our sparkly ground. And now this super cute card is all done, and all it needs is a card base. So this card base is 3.5 by 8.5. And we're just going to add some tape runner onto that, and then we can layer our whole card front on top. And oh my goodness, I just love how this turned out. I wasn't sure about how the layout was going to work and how everything was going to go, but I am just so happy with it. It was so much fun to create. And I love the idea of using the barrels for something new and also using the Magic Iris add-on on its own without the Magic Iris. It's so much fun that you can do it both ways. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this one here by Audrey just blew me away. The inking she did, it's so gorgeous. And I love that she added that little ladybug. This card here by Elise is so sweet. I love her happy fall sentiment and her beautiful inked edges. This card by Tammy is just beautiful. That blue gingham is perfect, and I love how she used the bow that's from the Build-A-Barrel apples as a bow to tie the flowers together. Could anything be more cheerful than this card by Maureen? I love that bright pink and her beautiful friendship saying and those smiley faces. Oh my gosh, it's so sweet. And then this card here by Lynette is just beautiful. I love how she used that die cut happy fall for her sentiment. Megan added a sunflower into a platform pop-up with the brand new wraparound die, and look how cute that is. I can't wait to make a platform pop-up just like this. And here is the card by Callie that inspired me to make mine today. And isn't that just stunning? I love how she added the barrel of apples at the bottom, and that pop of red is just gorgeous. As soon as I saw Letitia's card, I just fell in love with it. I love how she added all of those sunflowers onto the background of her card, and the beautiful happy fall sentiment in the middle is just gorgeous. And then here is the awesome Magic Iris card that Mindy created that inspired us to make ours today. I just love it. So we cannot wait to see what you guys do with this new sunflower die, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!